to actually also clip in there.
Oh, at least that clips into the right part.
That's right. The question that...
well, it looks...
What's the safe working load of the harness?
Well, there's the first question. But you look at the webbing of the harness compared to the webbing of the slings, and the seat webbing is pretty much the same.
It was a hell of a mess, though.
It was a lot messier than that. That's pretty neat. But the question you've got to ask is, where's your single point of failure here, and is this designed to do that sort of thing?
Well, it's designed to take a single person's weight, not...
Hey, but it's a rating of the buckle we've got to start questioning.
Right.
But it's also the use of the thing. In roping, you try and use what's designed for a use, you use for that use, because it probably will fail if it's used for something different. So my suggestion is that will hold for a period of time, and then it has a possibility of failing, because it's not designed for that sort of thing.
Get under a shop light.
Actually, is the weakest point the buckle or the stitching on the buckle?
Well, I'd say the stitching on the buckle is probably not, because if you look at the amount of stitching there, there's almost more stitching there than there is on one of those.
Right.
Okay. So that's just the sort. Trying to analyse the system or train your safety officer, whoever that is, to look for the single point of failure. Now, anchor points. Is this a good anchor point? This pole. Is it a good anchor point?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What about above, up here? Is that good?
Less good.
Less good? Yeah. Okay. What's one of the problems you got with the pole to anchor off to? Right, we just had a query about welds, didn't we? And we weren't happy with the welds over there. So why are we happy with, and how many bolts are holding this bull bar on?
Two.
There's two. And it should be four.
Should be four, otherwise we'll do this.
Yeah, no, it's 4 down there.
Right, there's 4 bolts on there, but at what point do those bolts shear out?
They're a high tension bolt.
They're designed to body shear.
Yeah,
That's right.
Mechanic, they're a high tension bolt.
They won't snap.
Show you first.
Will it?
Rip the holes in the chassis.
My understanding is with the high tensile bolt on impact, they're designed to shear, so the impact's taken by the bar, not the...
No, you find with a bull bar, if you get an accident with a bull bar from the mechanic point, you find the chassis holes when they're out first.
Well, my understanding was the same as Matt. But once again, there's still only 4 bolts there to this thing that's bolted on here. What's the other thing you've got round here?
I've used the other end of the car.
I'd use the chassis.
The winch.
No, the chassis. What's the advantage of using the chassis?
Well, integral to the car.
That's right, it's not going to go anywhere.
That's what I was saying. I'd have used the tow bar, because the tow bar, as Willie pointed out, is designed to take weight.
No, but what's the problem with the tow bar? Well, the tow bars do have ratings on them, whereas these don't, okay?
That's right.
But what's the rating of the standard tow bar?
1,250 kilos.
1,250.
The one on the back of my car is 2.1 tonnes, and the one on the back of this one is the same, I think.
And what's the rating of your rope?
3,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is that a safe working load? Is that the rating? Or is that a braking strain? Okay. So it's a safe working load. So 1,250 is a safe working load. And what's the safe working load of the rope?
375.
375 or 400, let's say, for the 13 mil. It's actually 425 or something, 418 or some funny figure like that. So a tow bar is probably a better option than a bull bar, because bull bars have no ratings and bull bars are actually designed to fall off. That's the design of a bull bar, to prevent a certain amount of damage but to fall off at some point. Okay? Is the winch bolted to the bull bar or to the chassis?
Bull bar.
Bull bar, which actually is a problem. And most really good winches I've come across are actually bolted onto the chassis. Okay? Because you can actually pull off. If you
bull bar off.
You can. And I've seen it happen. You lock on the back of your car so that it's not Okay? The Land Cruisers are great because they've got these big rails that come right out the front and you just wrap them up, pat them up and attach. The other thing you've got to think about is when you're using one of these as an anchor point, is how do you position the vehicle to use as an anchor point?
At 90 degrees.
90 degrees is good. Okay? So you could actually use the front and the back and you could bring it down so you could have two anchor points off one thing. So we've decided that, okay, not the tow ball, you want to use crossbar. And you're probably better off if you're not towing anything and you don't want people to just go and hook it on there, take that off, and then you can say anchor up to the tow bar, they'll come back and go, well, there's no tow ball there. And you can say, well, I'm talking about the bar, not the ball.
Also, taking the gooseneck off and leaving it in the back of the vehicle saves shins.
Now, don't forget where you got that from.
Walking away with it, like what happened to the courier, remember?
I got stolen, did it?
Yeah.
When the courier's gearbox went.
Well, it dropped the gearbox.
In the shop
in
Sydney.
Yes.
Got it back without the gooseneck on.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to take all those off. And
Well,
shackles
everything
before you
else
put
was
them into
taken off,
mechanic.
but the gooseneck.
Huh? Oh, some places, right?
Yeah, the Ford dealer.
Some towns you've got to make sure you've got them all out of your vehicle.
Whereabouts, Colleen?
Go into,
Sydney.
you want back out of him? Okay. And the other thing is sometimes they get taken out of mechanic shops and they just forget to put them back in. And you go back there and they've got six sitting in the corner because they've been taking them out so they didn't stick plunking their shins on them. And they go,
well, in
oh,
that situation they should take it out and stick them in the vehicle. Yeah, that's
Broken
why I
already.
said that it's good to look at. I was wondering if someone had picked it up.
It's, that's vibration probably. But,
No, that's picked up.
can you use this, the front of this car as anchor point?
I wouldn't actually use the bull bar, but I'd use the tow.
Yeah, well why don't you like the Land Cruisers and so on, they've got these rails that stick right out. And I've got the old Captain's Flat Land Cruiser and the bull bar's like out here. So you've got heaps of railing and steel and chassis to play with.
And on one of these,
You've actually this vehicle.
Go down to one, let's go down. Rear axle.
Willie?
What's this?
Main rail. Rail's gone out there. Little number of anchor points on it. Just write SES anchor point system on the vehicle. And it's all chassis is what you're attaching to.
Whereas something like a
Yeah, well,
car,
I
you
mean,
have to go almost right way round it.
Just about. Or do
That's
a
what
lot
I
of
was
crawling
looking
in
at.
underneath it. And the other thing, problem you've got with cars like this, and a lot of the more new passenger type vehicles, is once you start tensioning, Pajero, there you've actually got a couple hanging down the front of, which you can just drop off. Yeah. The only hazard you've got with, and that's the same problem with the Pajero, is how they're attached to the chassis is concealed.
yeah,
Right, now you being a mechanic will be able to say, oh, but it's bolted on with these and welded on or whatever.
But I wouldn't have a clue.
That's right, and because I can't see how it fits together, a question mark arises in my brain, and if a question mark arises in my brain, I'm then looking for an extra anchor point. Now what about these holes over here with concrete in them?
No. No good.
Why are they no good?
Because they're not very securely in the ground. They're only there to stop people from running into the street through them. They give you a bit of warning.
They do not pass the shake test. Okay? One of the things for anchor points is a shake test. And the thing's got to be able to not move. And if I shake that
to pull that out of the ground
enough,
himself in a
it'll
minute,
come
yeah.
out. Right? So that fails the shake test. Right? The other is a kick test. If you kick it really hard and your foot hurts afterwards and it hasn't moved, then it's possibly okay.
I prefer the shake test.
I do too, it's
Less
less painful.
painful.
Okay.
Especially when you're wearing...
Yeah. I mean, these are only
Feet
here
too.
to give you warning before you hit the building. No. No.
Okay, well let's start finding some anchor points. But we want to work on this roof section here. Let's start looking for some anchor points without vehicles at this stage. Not vehicle anchors. Yeah? You're going to have to run up and roll it all?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that looks like a parking safe there. What's the problem if you want to work out here though?
It's in the corner. The other one, then grab one of those railway sleepers around the corner, bring it inside the door, come off the door, open.
Yeah?
There's nothing on the other side of the fence.
Yes,
Because
no.
Yes. What do you got? You've got some flashy flagpoles out the front.
We're meant for rest of anchor points out here, aren't we?
That big tree across the road, except someone had run into it.
Yeah, block the road off.
Off the road.
Cars,
parking truck.
the local from
Well,
Bungendore
you-
stealing all your gear while you're not looking.
Yeah, well, that happens everywhere.
Yeah, through the window, see?
What about these ones out the front compared to the back? Do they work?
Oh, just in the wrong place and the wrong quadrant.
How do you think you'd stop the rope running, the anchor system running up?
Got to tie a rope around it and the other one and
Yeah.
sort of open.
Lash it.
Figure eight it, that's the only way, and lash it is the only way I can think we should do it.
But then you're relying on the friction on the pole.
Well, you're going to be, and I'll show you, you're often relying on the friction on the pole anyway. And there's a particular way you can tie your tape to increase it. You've got a fire hydrant there.
I'll tell you what though, with that fun right now, because it's moist and slippery.
Yes, that's right. So you have to dry it. But you've got, once again, you're busy.
Yeah, well if you open the door and use the pillar, you've got things you can use to actually pop the rope going up if you want to.
Sledgehammer a hole in the wall, plate on the other side.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Not supposed to.
Well, that's what we before we filled that up. The water will go straight through to do that.
That's actually what happens with the wheels on. No, with the wheels on, they're more fun to ride down hill slopes.
They got that free auto bin to put them full of sand and
Yeah.
the wheels off. What's this for? Oh, the wheels off, they won't move if you load it. A bit of weight in them, mate.
It's a counterweight. As you go off the roof, it kind of slows you down.
So you survive the impact and go, oh, thank God, and then you see an auto bin falling out of the roof.
So, putting a fall arrest system on this roof is quite difficult, isn't it? Without using vehicles as anchor points. And that's what I want to see happen. I want a fall arrest system on that roof without using vehicles there. Just this area back. I want you to stretch the drain.
Somebody want to come around with me and grab a railway please? Door. Well,
Inside of the running from the other side.
Yeah. Because usually we still so in fact, went diagonal across the other side. Well, that's the other problem we've got, is crushing the guttering. How are we going to prevent crushing the guttering?
Cut the blocks in.
You throw the gutter.
Okay, right, we're plenty of wood.
Get some blocks.
Let's do it. Let's do it, right? We've got plenty of systems in there. Let's just use the Bungendore system and just use one system and not use the young system, because if we just use yours, then we know that there's only one set of gear that we've...
Do you want to bring it out here? Outside here? We use the base of the fire extinguisher down there to stop your rope riding up.
Can we do this one first? And I think we do it here.
That was the hang on. With that one, yeah, do it. That'll miss the light too. Okay.
Primary, secondary, we can miss the light, yeah. No, if it has a load check. So, yeah.
Alright, look at where the wall is and go from there. Even though we just worked this out.
I think that's right. No?
Yeah, lift the top. Let's need to turn it around.
But the inside slide, not the outside slide. It's fine. Yeah, the inside slide, not the outside. And now the tricky is to get it locked in here. But that's the problem with the taller one. I've got a big one that's set up to the 5 metre platform and wiggle around and...
No, do it. Always call something on there. You could just about, on a lot of these ones, just lose a little spirit level on here to give you your right.
How's that?
Yeah, angle and that.
You got the anchors all done here?
Yeah.
What's the metal walking across?
The monkey method.
With extra wrap around.
Yeah. That's, how many turns do you take around the...
I would take 2 around that 55.
But in fact, is it a case of more turns in the area?
Not necessarily. Now, just while we're on rope here, let's have a quick discussion on rope. I know we all love to take our rope, but my personal preference is to anchor, and I'll show you why in a minute. You can actually... Seeing Bungendore is such a rich unit, they'd probably go out and buy one of these special bags that you just unzip. They didn't bite.
What about the stuff bags?
Stuff bags are good. Stuff
Yeah.
bags are excellent.
Because then you can just walk it out as you
Stuff bags
alone.
are probably the best,
Yep.
because you can put the whole bag if you want to.
Yep.
You can attach the bag to the back of your harness so that you're still running.
I've got a couple of
free.
old canvas bags which I've put a... which you can put a ring
Old,
in the bottom.
old backpacks.
Yeah.
Those nice new SES ones.
Well, you put a ring
So
in
you
the bottom
look-
and you
you
tie a
look sort of
stopper knot
sexy
through the
walking
ring.
over.
Then you can...
Actually, I haven't seen one of those SES ones yet.
Haven't you? Oh,
You
mate.
haven't?
My young fella's got one now. He takes it to when we go for day walks. I'm sure that would upset the vision when they find
Yours
out.
didn't come to the land search course.
You went to you go over there.
Oh,
Did you grab one?
all the best people.
Oh, there's also another method where you can wrap around your wrist.
In through there so it doesn't come undone, yeah.
Through here. Right, and then you can just hang it. See? Right, so you can even just hang it like that off something. Or what I do is I then will do that to feed it into a bag. I then feed it in nose first, or you can drop it in back first and just have that near the top, so when you pull it, the whole thing comes out. But where the advantage is in the unwrapping of the thing. You get this.
And it will now just feed.
Like this on the ground like this, so, and that will now just feed.
They're on their way, I believe.
So you tie your knots in.
I'm over at Bungendore doing her for.
Probably haven't seen one of those.
Okay, not a problem. It's okay.
Double bite,
Okay,
double finger
bite.
bake.
16.
Pain in the ass to pack.
Pain in the arse to pack, that's right. But it is once it's all bedded in, the advantage is you can really load these up and shock load them and so on. They still come undone. You've reduced one single point of failure and taken it out.
Yep.
Right, made that 2. It passes over the carabiner, so it's a wider thing. And where all the stress
So it's a
tests...
figure of 8 on the bite, tied in the bite.
Basically, yes. And most of the failure of these ropes occur here. So all we've done is we've increased the amount of... we've opened up the surface area. So that's not biting against something small, because the whole trick with these things are they are at their strongest when they're at their straightest. So the more we can straighten them out, the stronger they are. A tensionless hitch, we all know what a tensionless hitch is. Just wrapped around the pole,
And
And then-
carabiner back, yeah.
half hitched back and then carabiner back, is 100% knot. Okay, there is no loss in the strength of the rope through a tensionless hitch, because you just come straight into your anchor point and it starts to go round. There's no...
Let this be a reminder to you all that this organization will not tolerate failure.
Oops! I did it again, baby.
Yeah!
What led you through the hopelessly tangled underbrush of private security organizations to our door? Stellar word of mouth? Our fine client roster? Those flyers we put up in that public urinal?